Almost everybody I know can afford a smartphone, but not many people out there can afford to spend $2,000–3,000 on a dedicated DSLR, and then on top of that, another couple $1,000s for a lens as well. This idea really got me thinking, can you become a modern day influencer or a business entrepreneur in 2019 by only using a smartphone? Well, there's only one way to find out. What's going on, guys? My name's Tomic and welcome back to the channel. I know, I'm wearing white today, not your traditional black, but hey, you gotta try something new every now and again, right? Today we're gonna be comparing a flagship Samsung phone against the Canon 6D. I've gone around the home today just taking generic photos of little bits and pieces just to really try push both of the camera's potential. We've looked at lights, darks, shadows, and everything in between, really to see how much we can get out of each device and how much dynamic range is possible. Both of these have been shot in RAW, so the Samsung has a feature that lets you put all your photos into RAW when you're shooting in Pro mode, which is fantastic when you're comparing it against the DSLR, because that's the main perk really of using a big camera versus just a little old phone. After taking and editing 6 photos on each device, it's actually really tricky to tell which one's which. I'm going to pop both pictures on each screen right now and show you the difference and let you guys decide which one's which. Okay, so the first 2 images are just of a generic clock on the wall. One of them is the Samsung and one of them is the Canon. You really can't tell with these two. The only thing that gives it away is the blacks. The second image is a close-up of a leaf. It's actually one of the hardest out of all the 6 pictures to select which one it is. At the end of this video, I'm also going to put in a quick behind the scenes how I edited these 2 particular photos, so you can really get an understanding of what they started out as before they were edited to kind of be a side-by-side comparison. You can really tell where the Samsung starts to fall apart. This image was originally very overexposed. You can tell that with the Samsung you can't bring those highlights back as much as you're able to in the DSLR. The same thing happens with a watch photo, it's just the reverse effect. The shadows really start to fall away and the blacks start to get very grainy and pixelated. Whereas with the DSLR you can tell it's still crisp, it's clean, there's not that much noise in the photo, and you can really draw out those shadows without taking away from the image quality. Again, another photo that you really struggle to tell the difference with. Straight away I might think that the left photo here is the Samsung because it's oversaturated and a little bit more powerful, but I edited it that way in particular just to kind of draw your eye away and confuse you a little bit. But if you really look up in the top right hand corner of this photo where the sky is, you're going to tell that the right one is actually a Samsung, and that's where it starts to fall away in the shadows and the highlights. And finally, the last image, I actually have to give it to the Samsung because it performed very, very well. This was done with a selective focus mode on the Samsung to give you more of a depth of field, because the lens I was using on the camera was a f2.8 16-35mm lens, which gives it a nice bokeh. But regardless, the Samsung still came out the clear winner because the original DSLR photo is a little bit more warped at 35mm. So what's the conclusion? Do you really have to go out and spend a couple $1,000s buying a brand new DSLR? Or can you start a business in 2019 using just your smartphone? Well, in my personal opinion, I truly do believe that you can run a business in 2019 only using a flagship smartphone. Be it the brand new Samsung S10 or the iPhone XR or any models a couple years old, they all have pretty good hardware and software as well built in for the phones to really be able to help you design, shoot, and post great photos time and time again. To really give you guys a good idea of the 2 editing styles of these 2 devices, I want to show you the Samsung on the left and the DSLR on the right. So let's take the screen, shrink it down and pop it in that little corner there, and let me show you these on the big screen. Alright, so if we start playing these 2 videos here, we're going to notice that both of the colors straight away are completely different. The Samsung on the left is a lot more vibrant and a lot more your typical Samsung oversaturated, whereas the Canon itself has come out more natural looking versus the original photo on the left. If you've ever really wondered how I edit my photos, or how most people actually in 2019 edit those vibrant, happy, lusty looking photos for Instagram, this is a very particular editing style on Lightroom that can be done in, well, under a couple minutes actually. So the main things you really want to focus on here is your highlights, your shadows, your whites, your blacks, and also your contrast, but then working with the S-curve to try and get things as close to as natural as possible. Now, the reason I selected this photo here to use as my prime example is because the Samsung actually comes out looking significantly better than the DSLR. I'm not sure if I just didn't take enough time to get the settings right on the Canon, or if Samsung really can do a much better job because it was taken at a much closer distance. That's one of the great things about the Samsung, is it has the macro lens inbuilt as well, whereas a DSLR you're going to actually have to invest in a separate macro lens. That's it from me, guys. If you liked the video, remember I'm posting brand new e-com related videos every Monday. So make sure you smash that subscribe button 2019 style, and I'll see you in the next one.